Hey everybody, Tony here with a review of Puccini's Tosca, which I saw at the Arena di Verona. The conductor was Antonino Faglioni. The production sets, costumes, and lights were handled by Hugo de Ana, and the chorus master was Vito Lombardi. I was anticipating this particular production of Tosca because of the star-studded cast headed by Ainhoa Arteta as Tosca, Aleksandrs Antonenko as Cavaradossi, and Boris Statsenko as Scarpia. I will gladly talk about the performances much later, but first, my thoughts on the production. Overall, I found it to be phenomenal. What is so remarkable about this particular production of Tosca is basically the backdrop involved. There is a statue of a woman's head in the center, and on my right side, there is a hand holding a dagger, and on my left side, there is another hand holding a sword. This is probably to symbolize that Tosca is a woman living in a man's world. She has to survive on her own terms and on her own means of defense, whether she likes it or not only for the love of Mario Cavaradossi, but also to make sure that she knows exactly what she wants and that she maintains her independent spirit. There were also some strong Christian overtones to be found in this production of Tosca, not only from the very popular example of Scarpia's Te Deum, in which the Pope arrives in the scene with his retinue, but also during Cavaradossi's execution, in which Cavaradossi is strapped to a cross first, before being shot on by Scarpia's soldiers. And I definitely have to say that the production was extremely alluring from beginning to end. It was eye-popping, it was brilliant, and it was quite fantastic in its own special way. And the costumes, as to be expected, were elegant. They looked great on all the singers, and I especially loved both Scarpia's and Tosca's costumes. So overall, the production and costumes were absolutely great from beginning to end. And now we get to the singers, starting off with Ainhoa Arteta, who sang the role of Floria Tosca. I have been following this particular soprano's career for many years. I first heard about her ever since I was about in my late tweens, early teens, and I only knew her by name and repertoire only. Much like a lot of her predecessors, including Magda Olivero, Anna Moffo, and Mirella Freni, she started out as a light lyric soprano who also sang some coloratura soprano roles like Gilda, Leila, and even that of Musetta from La Boheme. That is until much later in her career did she start singing the more full lyric soprano repertoire with the likes of Donna Elvira from Don Giovanni, Desdemona from Otello, and many others. And most recently, she has been singing a good amount of spinto soprano roles. So as one can tell, I was quite skeptical when she was going to sing Tosca because I mainly knew Ainhoa Arteta as a lyric soprano. But after watching her rendition of Tosca, I can safely say that she did a really good job. Yes, her voice doesn't have that spinto/dramatic soprano weight a la Leonie Rezenek or Hildegard Hillebrecht, Ingrid Bjorna, Leontine Price, Maria Callas, or even that of Gina Cigna, Maria Caniglia, and many other great spinto/dramatic sopranos of the time, but I still have to give her credit for her really good musicianship. Yes, there are times her high notes do tend to sound a little bit shrill, but on the other hand, they sounded quite piercing and really expressive. And that's the word I would like to use for Ainhoa Arteta's Tosca. She was really expressive, as to be expected from anyone who dares sing the role of Floria Tosca. She was able to act this role really well. She was able to make her quite playful and fun in the first act, and also really deep in the last two acts. And she had this charisma and strength which she was able to carry through so well. So I have to give a lot of props to Ainhoa Arteta for being a fine singer and an equally fine actress, especially when it comes to portraying this really challenging role that is Floria Tosca. Aleksandrs Antonenko was an overall solid Mario Cavaradossi. I've also been following this particular dramatic tenor's career for quite some time, mostly first hearing him on YouTube singing the likes of Otello and many other dramatic tenor roles, even that of Pollione from Norma. And when I heard him live, I have to say that his voice had that great incision of a true dramatic tenor. Yes, there were times that he was a little bit harsh in the first act, especially for how he sang that final Tosca sei tu before closing Recondita Armonia. I want that Tosca to sound brilliant and electrifying. Yes, it had that electrifying effect, but it sounded a little bit harsh on my ears, despite the fact that he hit that B flat so well. But I still have to give Aleksandrs Antonenko a great amount of credit for really getting himself into the role, which is not an easy job. He does have squillo, especially evidenced on all the high notes he sings, and he was an expressive singing actor, showing a lot of endurance, strength, toughness, guts, determination, and a lot of lung power, especially evidenced when he sang the Vittoria, Vittoria, and even La Vita Mia Costasse towards Angelotti. He definitely had a lot of great vocal resources, even though there were times his voice did have a little bit of harshness. But he was still a very strong vocal performer with that fine stentorian sound, which I love in a true dramatic tenor, and he just did the role really well. Stealing the show as Scarpia was Boris Statsenko. My experience with this particular dramatic baritone was by complete fate. When I first watched a couple of clips of him on YouTube singing Rigoletto in a trailer for the Deutsche Oper am Rhein's production of Rigoletto, alongside Olesia Polovneva as the Gilda. And from what I've heard from that clip alone, I have to say that Boris Statsenko was a dramatic baritone I knew I was going to look out for in the near future. And just by listening to him as Scarpia and even watching his every single move, I can attest that he was in great vocal shape from beginning to end. The way he was able to move around the stage like a huge serpent, ready to go on the prowl for some prey, was something so awesome to witness. And his voice had that great serpentine quality I love in any true dramatic baritone. He has a lot of experience on his side, as evidenced when he sang Scarpia, a role that I'm sure he has been singing for a great number of years. The way he was able to characterize him with all of his sleaze and venom, and the way he was able to make his full-sounding, rich and round, dramatic baritone voice pour out with expressivity and charisma was something worthwhile. He was definitely a great singing actor from beginning to end, and he definitely stole the show as Scarpia. He was able to stand so tall against Ainhoa Arteta's Tosca and Aleksandrs Antonenko's Mario Cavaradossi, thus proving himself to be a fine singing actor. And each of these three principal players had something really unique to offer, and they managed to do really great jobs. We also had such magnificent singing from the smaller parts, starting off with Angelotti, who was sung by Romano dal Zovo, whose rich, round, handsome, and lovely basso cantante voice made him stand out so well, and his dashing stage presence certainly was quite involving. The way he was able to make Angelotti a suffering character was really well done. And he managed to know what to do with this specific character, and he knew darn well of what this character had to go through, and he pulled out all the stops. We also had Niccolo Ceriani's Sacristan, in which he was able to use his comic baritone voice to the best of his abilities, and he sang everything so well, and he was a fine actor. Yes, I would have loved to have a deeper basso voice singing the role of the sacristan, but I digress. I still have to give a lot of kudos to Niccolo Ceriani's superb characterization, great musicianship, and overall wonderful skills as a singing actor for embodying the role of the sacristan. He sang this role so well, complete with that fine sounding, well tuned comic baritone voice, and he was, simply put, a lot of fun to witness. Antonello Ceron as Spoletta was ideally sneaky and really, really sleazy. The way he was able to make Spoletta such a creepy character who manages to have a little bit of venom was really well done, and it's also reflected in his fine character tenor voice. He just managed to make Spoletta come out alive, all thanks to his superb characterization and equally superb voice. Sciarone was sung by Marco Camastra, whose fine and wonderful baritone voice made him stand out so well, and he had a fine stage presence. And we also had Omar Kamata's full-sounding jailer, and of course, I also had to give a lot of kudos to the lovely young singer who sang the role of the shepherd boy. So overall, the singing was really great all around, with Boris Statsenko coming out on top as Scarpia, thus stealing the show, and of course, Ainhoa Arteta and Aleksandrs Antonenko doing such fine work as the tragic couple of Floria Tosca and Mario Cavaradossi. And the conducting done by Antonino Faglioni was really well done. He made sure that there was a great amount of gravitas for the orchestra, especially in the Te Deum scene, and he made sure that all the singers, all the chorus members, and all of the orchestra members played and sung their parts well. And of course, the chorus and orchestra of the Arena di Verona were superb. So overall, with a magnificent production and a solid cast of dedicated singing actors, and of course, such fine conducting done by Antonino Faglioni, I can definitely say that this particular production of Tosca is a must-watch and a must-listen, especially if you are a fan of not only this opera, but also the likes of Ainhoa Arteta, Aleksandrs Antonenko, and of course, Boris Statsenko. And for those of you who watched this particular production of Tosca at the Arena di Verona, what did you think of it? Did you feel like Ainhoa Arteta, Aleksandrs Antonenko, and Boris Statsenko stole the show in the three pivotal roles of Tosca, Cavaradossi, and Scarpia? Did you feel like there was another singer who stole their thunder? Or did you feel like there was something that just didn't really hold up so well? Comment below and let me know. Well, that's all for now. Be sure to tune in much later where I review another production of Verdi's Aida starring Kristen Lewis, Anita Rekhelishvili, and a slew of other great singers. So until then, good night everybody.